But next up, as an example of more lives touched by Mefloquine, I'm going to introduce you to the aunts of Scott Smith.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Taylor, and I'm here with Peggy Taylor. Corporal Scott F. Smith of the Canadian Airborne Regiment was our nephew. My sister, Val Reyes Santiesteban, Scott's mom, could not be here today to share her thoughts, so I will relay her messages. I'm here to tell you of the effects of Mefloquine on Scott from a family perspective. In 1994, the night before Christmas, my own children were tucked into bed, hoping and dreaming about the next morning. The phone rang, and I answered cheerfully to hear Val say, "Scott died." "No, this can't be true," I cried. "Yes," was all my sister said before no other words would come. Scott called from Rwanda, Africa, just hours earlier to wish his mom a Merry Christmas. He had been celebrating the holiday with his fellow soldiers and sounded cheerful. He asked Val to plan a big family Christmas dinner when he returned home when his tour was up. He asked if he could bring his buddies camping in the coming summer. Mother and son made future plans together. Mere hours later, Scott took his rifle, walked to a nearby tree, and shot himself in the head. I'm here to tell you that there is not a single person, be it family, friend, or comrade, who believes that Scott made a lucid choice to end his life. He was influenced by malfunction in his brain due to the side effects of Mefloquine. On his last leave home, Scott told his mom about the effects that Mefloquine caused him and the military population in general. He spoke of his violent nightmares, brutal hallucinations, the fear of taking more of the drug which he knew was the cause. He spoke of the fear of not taking it, because in the military you do what you are told. Even though Scott expected the side effects, he risked them because he did not want to have consequences by non-compliance. Sadly, the fact is that the soldiers of the Canadian Airborne Unit did not have full disclosure about the administration of Mefloquine. The informed consent regarding taking this drug never happened. These soldiers did not know that they had options to self-reporting side effects, asking for anti-malarial alternatives, or the rights to refuse dosing. Because of this, Scott, like other soldiers in his unit, weren't just living and working in a war zone, they had ongoing battles within their minds. If proper protocols were followed with all parties concerned, my nephew would still be here today. He is not. But his voice will be heard. Scott would want to ask that Mefloquine is banned for use in all populations. He would point out that soldiers and civilians alike have experienced the adverse effects of Mefloquine, and that the risks are just not worth the value of a person's mental health and well-being. Scott would want you to know that the use of this toxic drug is proven to cause permanent brain damage, that it has long-reaching effects for family and friends. He would be standing here today to advocate for change. He would tell the troops that we are here at home fighting for their future. He was just that kind of guy. He was interviewed by Bonnie Tews for a logistics magazine on the flight to Rwanda. He said, quote, "The drug we have to take makes me have hallucinations, but I'm going to help the poor people of this country," unquote.
There is only one reason why he took his life, and that was Mefloquine. Let's stop the suicides from this day forward. Reach out to someone who believes in you and can help you now. Put pressure on your MPs. Get your legions involved. Write letters to your Prime Minister. We can make this happen.
As we know, none of this just happens. It takes time, it takes resources, it takes effort, it takes people. And there are lots of people who have opened their hearts, shared this online. Next up, I'm going to introduce you to Brandon Kett. Brandon is a veteran who has first-hand experienced Mefloquine, and he's here to share his story today.
Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to give out a big thanks to all the people involved and make this day happen. It's a great historic event we're having here today, and I see this being painted as an old issue because there's not many younger veterans coming forward to speak for another generation that was given this pill. Being one of the only Afghanistan veterans, I took the pill in 2007 I'm here today as a memorial to the friends I've lost to suicide, thinking that PTSD might have been the only answer, and coming to find out that Mefloquine could have contributed to all that hardship that we experienced. A lot of people don't know what it's like inside of the forces, and the suicide epidemic that we experience and the memorials that we attend are frequent and hard to forget. The job goes on when we're still serving, but the faces stay with us. I never really thought that stumbling onto Dr. Nevin's work in the year 2013 when I was struggling with PTSD was going to land me here today speaking in front of all of you. That's when I first found out the adverse reactions to the Mefloquine drug were even a real thing. I was never told when I was given the drug. The only thing that we knew was that it caused some sort of sleeping disturbances. When I first went into the military medical health system, I was still a serving member. I had mental confusion. I couldn't really articulate the symptoms I was feeling. I couldn't come up with words to put to how exactly I was feeling inside. PTSD symptoms were there with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, but there's a lot more to it that I couldn't really pull out of myself. Upon finding Dr. Nevin's work online and reading the purgatory thoughts and the intrusive thoughts and suicidal ideation, I started to investigate further. And when I first read all those symptoms and I put it together and really went inside myself, it brought me to tears because I finally realized what was wrong with me. Frustrated after a long period of failed treatments of pharmacology that was given to me by the military. I had taken antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and eventually they put me onto antipsychotic medications and nothing was working. In a span of 6 months, I was switched 13 times on medications. This was only solidified further by the harassment and personal attacks by my chain of command, medically and regimentally. I brought it to my medical doctor, military side, and she basically laughed me off when I brought it into her office, almost like Mefloquine. that doesn't cause problems, you know. But it caused me to detach myself from the treatment in the military medical system, which caused me hardship between my medical command and chain of command regimentally. And they ended up trying to come after me and charge me. And it was causing me a lot more problems, having already been through war, dealing with PTSD, and then finding out about Mefloquine. My personal life was in shambles from the ongoing situation that was being caused. So I just think that there hasn't been many changes internally right now, and there's still a lot of serving members from the Afghanistan war where we were given this drug almost indiscriminately in order to take it, that are suffering in silence, afraid to come forward after seeing the treatment that was done to us who tried to come forward and bring light to the darkness. I'd just like to close today by asking the government and civilians, military, all to come together and push for our message of research into possible treatments and physical signs or whatnot so that we can pinpoint this injury. Because as veterans, we're not going to come forward when you ask us, you know, have you been feeling this? It's a career killer, and they see that immediately. You're released. So there has to be a way to diagnose these people without them having to admit to being hurt.
Next up, we have Philip S. Brooks. After that, we will have Marge Matchie reading a statement from Stuart McCarthy. And following that, we will end off our official proceedings with a repeat of the memorial ceremony as they come and fetch the boots from these stairs. Philip, come on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out to support the Mefloquine Awareness Action Committee today and to support these families who have suffered and lost so much. My name is Captain Phil Brooks. I'm retired RCAF, Air Combat Systems Officer. They used to call us a navigator. I was a rescue specialist, intelligence officer. I served from 1986 to 1998, a very transitional period in the Canadian Armed Forces as we went back to war in the first time in a generation. Now, what I'd like to say today, I also was put on Mefloquine. It's a bit difficult for me to say what's caused my injuries in my brain. I've been smacked around, poisoned, sickened, pretty much everything like a lot of people that have done these jobs. So basically when we come home, we just go like, okay, it hurts, I gotta get fixed now. And we don't want a whole lot of questions. And in my case, I can't manage the process at all. I'm a lawyer, I have 4 degrees, I can't find my way home. I can't support myself anymore, right? That's what happens. I didn't turn dumb, I didn't turn mental, I didn't turn suicidal or psychopathic, but I can't function properly. What I really want to push here is evidence-based brain health as the model we need to look at across Canada, not just in veterans, and that's what we need to focus on, okay? So to the politicians, I would say thank you so much for coming out. It's a very difficult job. I don't want to do it. I'm glad you do. But I would encourage you to look for the answers we need to hear, not the answers we want to hear, or better, the answers your bosses want to hear. The lifestyle report that just came out on veterans, looking at the people released from 1998 to 2013, which includes my cohort. So of the people that were released in that time period, 1998 to 2015, 15% of the people that worked in the armed forces full-time during that time were retired in this. That's it, they've gone fishing, they're collecting their pension, they're sitting with their feet up, and life is good. 15% of the retired workforce are collecting a pension. 8%, just more than half that number, are on disability. It's 24/7, 365 day, and they're alone. They're not here right now. We're up here talking because right now in Canadian bedrooms across this country are soldiers quietly suffering. Right? They don't speak out. They don't know what's wrong with them. Our voices are all spread out across this country. Thank you.
Dick is the partner of Trevor Sanderson, who is currently walking across Canada to support vets with post-traumatic stress disorder. Thank you so much, Dick, for being here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dick Groot, and I'm a retired soldier. I suffer the same symptoms as everybody else. I'd like to say that it's a significant honor to be asked to speak at this event. I've been in treatment for the last 17 years. I've also been studying holistic medicine and psychology in that time frame. The last couple of years I've been working at trying to get homeless vets out of the street, and through the process the stress has got a little bit extreme, and Vets Canada had to pull me out of a situation. It's emotional. When I landed in the hotel room, that same night there was a murder-suicide in Toronto, and I wondered why I was saved. I was headed to a retreat, Rally Point retreat, for a healing day, and actually ran into Trevor Sanderson along the way. He was a homeless veteran, a Princess Patricia infantry member, and I scooped him up and brought him along with us to the to Rally Point retreat for a healing lodge with the Micmac. Trevor and I have decided to carry on that walk. I went homeless a year ago. I'm just coming out of it. Got help from a number of different agencies, although it was a gong show. Trevor was walking the same situation, the same symptoms, the same everything. Brought him along, and the two of us have now dedicated to work with Vets Canada and other agencies to try to uplift these retreats and these healing places. Mr. John Bassard actually brought in the perfect segue, because he was talking about outreach, and that is exactly what we're doing. Instead of doing the standard, Vets Canada has a problem with not having enough volunteers, which is part of the reason why the gong show occurred with myself. And we're walking across Canada now into the streets and attracting the veterans who are too scared, like myself, terrified actually, to approach Veterans Affairs. I apologize, Trevor couldn't make it today. He got stuck in Toronto. The two of us have decided to take our healing, and once we've gotten to the point where we are healed, and we're taking action, and we're pulling the people out, and we're doing the outreach, and as we go, we are connecting with different groups and different people and starting to get quite a momentum going across Canada.